figs. These juicy, delicious, unusual fruits. We recently found these amazingly sweet and tender figs at the Embarcadero Market in San Francisco. We asked the market vendor where such wonderful figs were grown, and he told us that the Knoll Organic Farm in Brentwood, California, grows these Cadota figs, which are green, these beautiful brown turkeys, which are kind of brownish red, and these small black mission figs. These are the figs that you often find dried. And what's nice about the Knolls, well, they let their figs ripen right on the trees. I'd like to share with you one of the Knolls' great fig recipes. It's really simple, and it's very elegant, and it's an hors d'oeuvre. They cut their figs in half, and I'll cut this little black mission fig in half. They're perfectly ripe right this second. See how juicy and succulent they are? And the Cadota, too. What a pretty fig that is when it's cut open. And now what they do is just take a basil leaf and press the basil leaf right into that juicy center of the fig. And you have to really choose your basil leaves carefully so that they are absolutely pristine and clean. Press them in, and then they take a little piece of goat cheese and just drop it down right into the center of the basil leaf. And arrange your figs on a fig leaf. What a beautiful background for this hors d'oeuvre platter. Next, we're going to visit the Knoll Organic Farms, where we're going to learn all about how they harvest, dry, and sell these amazing organically grown figs. Stay tuned. The California Delta, with its rich soil and Mediterranean climate, is the ideal environment for growing sweet, luscious figs. More wild and dense than most farms in the area, Knoll Organic Farms is renowned for growing extraordinary figs, favored by the chefs of San Francisco's finest restaurants. Every morning, Rick Knoll and his wife, Kristie, head into the field to discern which figs are at the exact moment of ripeness for picking.
Got nice splits, nice darkness, nice softness.
We pick figs only when they have a certain feel. There's degrees of softness, from being really, really squishy, which is too soft, to being hard. And they can be the same color, essentially, when they're several days away from being picked. So it's all a matter of feel. We feel every fig before we pick it. So you might test 3 or 4 figs, and those are for tomorrow, and then you find one that's right, and then you pick it. These are really important because you need to pinch the stem off. If you don't get the stem, then the fruit doesn't ripen exactly the right way. It doesn't sweeten up, and it starts to go bad in the little place where the stem is broken off. You can see how they grow by the leaf. Every leaf that comes out has another little fig. You know, this one was picked here. In 2 days, these will be ready, and then in 2 more days, these will be ready, and then these will be ready. So you come back to the same tree every day and pick the same tree over and over and over again. They just have to be like this to be picked.
The Knolls allow their figs to ripen on the tree until the last possible moment, ensuring the maximum sweetness and complexity of flavor. Because of this, the figs are extremely fragile and must be packed carefully by hand. Most people are familiar with the black mission fig, but the Knolls are famous for more unusual varieties that are difficult to acquire in the supermarket.
So here we have 2 distinctly different type of figs. This is a green one that's salmon colored on the inside called a Cadota. This is a brown turkey. It's a Turkish fig that's brown, and it is completely different in texture and color on the inside. This one tends to be real syrupy sweet, and this one tends to be real juicy sweet. The fig is actually a flower, and if you open it up, there are seeds inside. During times when it gets too much moisture, it will actually open up like that and look more like a flower. This is an Adriatic. We call them strawberry jam figs. They actually have the same sort of texture with seeds and the same color as strawberry jam, and they have a really thin skin, so you can smear them on a bagel or on toast, and it tastes just like strawberry jam. Better, we think.
Rick and Kristie's expertise is developed over 20 years of hard work, experimentation, and a little luck.
What's really funny and ironic about the figs for us is that when we planted 60 fig trees, we had never eaten a fresh fig. We had eaten lots of fig Newtons, and we knew we liked fig Newtons, so we thought, yeah, we'll like figs, that's cool. And as it turns out, we did. It could have gone easily the other way, but as serendipity would have it, it worked out well.
The sweet taste of their fresh figs carries over into their delicious dried figs, which are cut and then allowed to ripen naturally in the sun.
Well, everybody dries figs whole. That's the way that it's done in the industry. So we decided we would cut them, and that way we could make sure, you can look at each fig when you lay it out on the rack and go, yeah, that's a good fig. And if you can't see inside of it, you really don't know. And we can really gauge what we're doing that way. We can see how dry they are, whether they really need to come off the racks or whether we need to leave them a few more days or what.
Figs aren't the only thing you'll find on the Knowles farm. Each of the 10 acres is densely and diversely farmed in a technique that Rick calls agroforestry. Sunflowers make up a field at the perimeter of the farm, and rows of horseradish and rosemary grow in between the trees.
Well, there's a lot of plants that you can plant in a community that help each other. For example, one plant might be a habitat for a beneficial insect that controls the pest on the one that you make money off of.
By serendipity, some of these secondary crops have become important in their own right. The Knowles rosemary, for example, is highly prized by Bay Area bakeries. In keeping with their farming philosophy, Rick and Kristie make use of the entire fig tree. The wood that is pruned from the trees is shipped to top restaurants nationwide. When used for grilling, the wood imparts the sweet, smoky taste of the fig to meat and fish. Even the leaves are sold for use in displays and as a wrapping for baking and grilling. All of this hard work pays off when, in the early morning San Francisco fog, the Knowles arrive at the Ferry Plaza Farmers Market to bring their delicious figs to eager shoppers.
There's enough fanatical people that it becomes a really high energy place, and people demanding their figs, and they can't wait to get there in the morning to get their figs. And people really respond to the flavors and the higher quality you can have if you are a little more careful with how you do things. Well, one of the really neat things about the market is that you get to see the people that eat the food, and you get to interact with them. Getting hugged and kissed by people that love your stuff, makes you feel that you're doing something.
I know, we can guarantee it's a hard way to make a living, but it's really a good way to make a living, and I'm really glad to be a farmer, actually.